and Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad, which is due to be announced tomorrow. But news is emerging already this evening, and our football correspondent Rob Dorset joins me on set. He's been sifting through what is true and what isn't true on social media and through various sources and all that. Let's start, though, with a surprise inclusion.
Ivan Toney is going to the World Cup with England, and that is a huge surprise. To put it into context, I'd made a list of 44 possibles that might be in this England squad, and I had 16 of those that I thought were definites to make the squad of 26. Ivan Toney wasn't in that 44.
Wow.
So that tells you how left field this is. Ivan Toney has played a total of 5 minutes of football internationally under this head coach in the 16 months he's been in charge. Now, this is no slight on Ivan Toney. He's been in extraordinary form, 42 goals in 49 games in the Saudi Pro League. He's an extraordinary penalty taker. He's acclimatised to hot conditions because he's playing in the Saudi Pro League, which will be a big benefit for him in the US and Mexico. There are a lot of reasons why you could argue Ivan Toney should be in this England squad. But the fact that Thomas Tuchel hasn't deemed to pick him at any stage in his 16 months, apart from that one occasion in June last year where he was called up for the 2 June fixtures and was ignored for the first game and then came on in the 88th minute when England were 3-1 down against Senegal. Did he have much opportunity to show what he can do in an England shirt at that point? No, he didn't. That's the only football he's played under Thomas Tuchel. So it's in those circumstances that this is such a huge surprise.
What does this mean for Ollie Watkins? Could he take 3 genuine strikers?
It seems as though he is. I mean, we know that Harry... We don't know until we speak to the England head coach himself tomorrow at 11 o'clock, live on Sky Sports News. We will bring you that news conference. And we will have the squad officially confirmed an hour before that at 10 a.m. Until we speak to him, we don't really know. Maybe Harry Kane has an injury that we don't know about. Who knows? And he thinks he needs extra cover. I don't know, but the indications are that Ollie Watkins is going to be included as well, and it will be 3 strikers that England take. And bear in mind, in some of the squads that Tuchel has picked in qualifying, he's only had 1 striker in there. So again, it's a huge change for the England head coach. There are reports elsewhere, credible reports, that both Phil Foden and Cole Palmer have missed out on this squad. 2 world-class players, huge names, that would probably walk into 99.8% of every other team at this World Cup. But there are reports that both of those have been left out. We haven't been able to stand that up ourselves and confirm it, but they are credible reports from good journalists elsewhere that have said that. And that wouldn't be a huge surprise because we know that England have a lot of options at number 10. We know that Jude Bellingham's bound to be in. We know that Morgan Rogers is bound to be in. How many more number 10s could Thomas Tuchel take? OK, I get that. But it doesn't change what an extraordinary night this is. I've never known the night before an England squad announcement for a major tournament to be as chaotic as this, for as much to be leaking out, for as much information and rumour to be out there. And bear in mind, this is under Thomas Tuchel's watch, where he's kept a really tight rein on any team news leaking out. We don't know any team news until an hour or 2 before kick-off for all the qualifying matches. Nothing's leaked out, as it did under his predecessor, Gareth Southgate. And yet this squad is being leaked more than I've ever known. It makes for a really exciting evening, I have to say, but an extraordinary one nonetheless.
I'm glad you're here. Anyway, just going back to Foden and Palmer, these rumours that both of them will not be in the squad. Now, I know you said that it's maybe not a big surprise and they're not in great form, but is this also, would this be quite a brave decision? Because if it doesn't go well for England at the World Cup, that's a stick you can really beat Thomas Tuchel with, isn't it? Particularly if England are struggling to create chances, to score goals.
100%. It's a huge call by Thomas Tuchel, but it's one he's seen coming. It's a topic we've talked to the England head coach about incessantly for his 16 months in charge. England are the best in the world in number 10s. There is no other nation on this planet that has the embarrassment of riches that we have at number 10. And yet Tuchel has said all the way along he can't take them all. So it wouldn't be a huge surprise if the man on your screen now, Phil Foden, wasn't included in his England side. He's not had a great time for Manchester City. By his own very high standards, he's been very poor this season. He has, by the way, had more goal involvements than any of the other number 10s that Thomas Tuchel could consider. 17 goal involvements, by the way, which isn't bad when he's had a really poor season, apparently. But the same for Cole Palmer, who's only scored 10 goals for Chelsea, 5 of those from the penalty spot. If he misses out, again, it's a huge, huge call. And Thomas Tuchel is a brave man. He's never been afraid of making the big calls, and he's made some really big ones here. None bigger than leaving out Cole Palmer and Phil Foden, if indeed that is the case.
We do know as well that there'll be no Harry Maguire because he's posted himself on social media. What does that tell us about possible defensive options then?
Well, we know that Mark Gay, Ezri Konsa, and I would expect Dan Burn to be in the squad. All three of those have been mainstays for Thomas Tuchel. So he's got three centre-backs that are bankers. We know that Harry Maguire has tweeted to confirm that he's not in the squad and said how disappointed he is, but a mark of the man that he's wished the squad the very best of luck. And he's been in outstanding form for Manchester United of late. Started 12 of the last 14 games under Michael Carrick. The only two he missed was because of suspension. He's been brilliant. He was recalled to the England squad in March and played really well then, so I expected him to be in the England squad for this World Cup. He's been in each of the last 4 major tournaments for England, but he's not, and that's a surprise. So if we expect Gay, Concert and Byrne to be in, does that mean John Stones is going to get the nod? Again, that would be another huge call for Thomas Tuchel. We know he likes him very, very much. We know he admires him massively, his ability on the ball, his leadership qualities, his calmness. But he hasn't played 90 minutes for Manchester City since August. He's played very little football for Manchester City this season because of injury. He is now fit, but he's not being picked by Pep Guardiola. So another huge call from Thomas Tuchel if he goes with John Stones. And then there's Jarrell Quansah. Then there's Trevor Chalobah. Might they get the nod? We don't know yet. It's interesting that most of the information that's leaking out tonight is about players that are not in the squad, that haven't been in the squad. There are one or two bits of other reporters suggesting that players are in, and we've confirmed that Ivan Toney we expect to be in the squad tomorrow. But a lot of players aren't in the squad. So we're still waiting for some more positive news to confirm who is in, I think.
And a lot of those rumours about players not being in are not shocks, all of them, but there are some big surprises there. What else have you heard? Anyone else that could be left out?
Well, I know that Levi Colwill is not going to be in the squad, and there was a big clamour for him because of his ability and calmness on the ball. He's had an injury-dogged couple of seasons for Chelsea, but he's been outstanding for the last 4 or 5 games. And he can cover at left-back as well. So there was a body of thought that said maybe he'll get a call-up. I think he will do in the future. I think he's an England player of the future. But it looks like Tuchel has looked at this and said, you haven't played enough football, you're not ready yet. So we see what happens there. I'd expect Jordan Henderson to come into the midfield. I'd expect Kobbie Mainoo to come into the midfield, both alongside Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson, who are shoo-ins. So is there any more space in that central midfield area? We wait to see. And the other huge headline, which we've heard nothing about yet, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. We know that Ben White will miss the World Cup because of injury. We know that England's right-back options are pretty limited. We know that Reece James is definitely going to be selected and will be England's first-choice right-back. But with the other options not necessarily firing all cylinders, Jed Spencer's struggled a little bit for Spurs. He's broken his jaw, we're told as well, and will play with a mask for the rest of this season. So with some of those players not necessarily at the top level, Tino Livramento may get the nod. Is there a shout for Trent Alexander-Arnold? One of England's best footballers, a generational talent for me in terms of his ability on the ball, but Tuchel has always said, I have question marks about his profile. And what he means by that is that, does Trent Alexander-Arnold offer enough defensively when Tuchel wants his fullbacks to be able to defend as well as go forward? So I still think it's a long shot that Alexander-Arnold will be included, but the way this squad's going, the selections we've seen, the omissions that we've seen already, the day before he actually announces the squad, who knows?
Yeah, well, if you're Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, he knows by now, I'm sure, but you'd look at Ivan Toney and be like, well, hang on a minute, I might have half a shot here.
Absolutely right. And because of Ivan Toney's inclusion, I suspect there'll be a lot of other players who've had their hopes raised. The one thing I would say is, you said there, you're sure he knows. I'm speaking to a lot of sources who are telling me that the players don't know. A lot of the players don't know, haven't been told yet whether they are in the squad. It looks like the FA have been very responsible and caring, empathetic, if you like, and ringing the players that aren't involved as things stand. I think a lot of players who are in the squad will be told tomorrow before it's announced. That's Tuchel's way, is to tell people late that they're in. Yes, 1 or 2 have leaked out. We know that Ivan Toney's in. Other places are reporting that other players might be in. But I think a lot of the players will be told tomorrow. A lot of the rumours that have come out, I've spoken to sources close to those players and they said, we haven't heard, we don't know. Where's this information coming from? I think that's what has made this quite a shambolic evening, a very exciting evening for England supporters and for us in the media. But I think from an FA perspective, they'll be sitting back and going, where's all this come from? Why is there so much information
where has
out
it?
there?
I mean, you know,
never known anything like it.
You know, I mean, you know, there are there are leaks that come out in club football, international football. You get team news sometimes, don't you? This is probably the biggest kind of story in terms of things that can get leaked out. But where can this information come from?
Well, I don't want to give you all my sources, Matt.
No, but
at 8 o'clock.
Is it a question of players telling an agent or family and friends, or is it someone in the FA? Can it be all those things?
I mean, look, I'd be surprised if it was anybody in the FA, because Tuchel makes it very clear to all of the FA employees and to all the players that he doesn't want them to leak any information. He doesn't want that information out there. And what you have to remember is that for every single game that Thomas Tuchel has taken charge of, there's been very little in the way of leaks building up to those. We haven't known who the starting 11 is going to be. We've been guessing at it. We've been analysing. We've been trying to predict. And he is very, very difficult to predict, I tell you. And that's been made more obvious again tonight with the information we're getting about the squad tomorrow. So I don't know where these leaks are coming from. I don't think a lot of it is coming from the players themselves, apart from some of those players who have been told that they're not included, and they've gone on the front foot and got the message out there. Where the information is coming from about those that are included in the squad, I'm not entirely sure. But I've never known anything like it. Wow. I really haven't.
Wow, man, it's given us loads to talk about tonight, which I'm very happy about anyway. Look, we don't know the full story yet, but we know it's going to be a lively press conference tomorrow. So as it stands, I mean, might get some more incredible news coming soon, but as it stands, where are you going to start with Tuchel tomorrow?
I think, look, we broke it on Sky Sports News that Ivan Toney is in this squad. I think that is the most extraordinary story. If Phil Foden and Cole Palmer are not included, that's a huge headline. But it's not a huge surprise, because we know all the way along that England have had too many options at number 10, and Tuchel has said he's not shy of leaving some of the big names out. But Ivan Toney's inclusion from nowhere, having not been involved with England for 16 months while Thomas Tuchel was in charge, having played only 5 minutes of international football under that head coach, for him to come from nowhere and go straight into a World Cup squad, I think is an extraordinary story. So that might be where we start. But let's see what happens, because there's so many big stories, so many headlines that we've already heard, with probably more to come.
Do you know what would be interesting is if tomorrow you ask him and he says, well, I was always going to pick him, I know what he can do, so I just didn't need to see him.
He may well say that. He said that a lot about a lot of players, that he doesn't need to see them. He said all the way along he doesn't need to see Trent Alexander-Arnold because he knows what he's capable of.
Could say the same about him, couldn't he? Could be in. Right, we're jumping the gun here. We're getting a bit excited.
But that's how every England football supporter is, and every club supporter tonight, wondering if their man's in. It's an extraordinary night. It's an exciting night, and I've never seen anything like it before. It's unprecedented, I think. On the evening before an England squad announcement, before a major tournament where England are amongst the favourites to win it, it's been extraordinary. And we haven't even had the main event yet.
Yeah, incredible. Great work, Rob. Get back on your phone. Get back on your sources.
Do my best. Do my best.
Well, back in February, Vicky Gomersall travelled to Saudi Arabia to sit down with Ivan Toney, where he talked about how much of a dream it would be to feature in Tuchel's World Cup squad.
Yeah, it would be a big dream to play at the World Cup. I mean, it's probably, let's say, my last chance to play at a World Cup, let's say. But yeah, it's whatever's best for the country. The coach will pick the team, and we have to respect that, you know. And yeah, like I said before, my job is to keep scoring goals, and hopefully that gives me the best chance of being there.
What sort of player would Thomas Tuchel be getting right now?
I think myself, over the last couple of years, I've become much fitter. I think my stats will speak for themselves. My running stats are high also. So, like I said, and that goes with the moment where I said, I don't want to just sit back and relax and say, oh, it's on a big salary, you can just chill. That's far from that. I'm working harder, my stats show it, I'm scoring more goals, and I feel like I'm helping others around me also, so it'll be getting a goal scorer that's hungry to play and hungry to help others around.
Darren Bent narrowly missed out on England's World Cup squad in 2010. He's surprised at Toney's inclusion and is unsure where that leaves Ollie Watkins, despite an impressive run of form.
Yeah, it surprises me. It really does. I mean, listen, I like Ivan Toney. I think he's a top striker. 42 goals this season as well. But it has come out of nowhere, because I thought a lot of the players who got left out of the last squad, I almost felt like that was it in terms of Thomas Tuchel's selection. And the fact that he's opted to go for Ivan Toney, well, what we're hearing, Ivan Toney, I think is absolutely incredible. And again, some of the names we're hearing that have been kind of leaked that are not going to the World Cup or not going to be in his squad is surprising me. But the fact he's opted for Ivan Toney, I genuinely thought, not that his England career was over, but it just felt like maybe Thomas Tuchel wanted to play, or go for players maybe more in a more competitive league. But the fact he's opted to go for Ivan Toney, which I think, listen, I've got no issue with it. I think 42 goals this season has been incredible. I'm a big fan of Ivan Toney's, and if he is in the squad, I think that's fantastic and well done to him. I don't think you can take 3 out-and-out strikers, because we've seen in previous tournaments, Harry Kane seems to play the majority of the minutes, and then you might get, if they need a change, maybe the second striker coming on. We saw certainly in the last tournament with Ollie Watkins coming on in that semi-final and scoring the goal against the Netherlands. But you're right, for Ollie Watkins, I thought he reacted really well to being left out of Thomas Tuchel's last squad. His form's good. He's obviously just won a European trophy as well. Played a big part in Aston Villa kind of getting Champions League football again via finishing in the top 6 this season and winning the Europa League. But the fact that that Ivan Toney seems to be in it, I can't see Thomas Tuchel picking 3 out-and-out strikers. And of course, when you think about Rashford and Gordon, who may be in the squad, both of them this season have been deployed in that centre-forward role as well. So, yeah, the Ivan Toney situation surprised me. But Ollie Watkins, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with him.
About Manchester United, well, they've already secured a third-place finish, haven't they, and finished their Premier League season at Brighton on Sunday. Now, Michael Carrick has been speaking to the media ahead of that game. Our reporter, Daniel Kahn, was asking the questions. Dan, we'll get to Carrick's press conference in just a moment, but look, we've got to get to this first, haven't we? Because Harry Maguire confirmed he's been left out of the England World Cup squad. What did you make of that news?
Look, some of us are still here at Carrington, as you can tell, Vicky, when that news came through. And I have to say, amongst the Manchester press pack, we were all incredibly surprised when that statement came through, confirming that he wouldn't be part of Thomas Tuchel's plans this summer. Now, that's partly because he was involved in March in those internationals, his first appearances for England for a few years, having missed the last tournament through injury. But then also the surprise amongst the Manchester press pack, because Harry Maguire has come back once again in his United career to really return to some top form this season. I mean, he missed quite a few games, it has to be said, in November and December through injury, but he's had some fantastic moments in the last 18 months at this club. His winner at Anfield, for example, earlier in the season. Since Michael Carrick has come back to the club, he's spoken numerous times about how important his experience, how important his just abilities have been at the age he's at and the stage he is at in his career. So I have to say there was a bit of a collective gasp here in Carrington among the press pack. And Harry Maguire also spoke to us at the beginning of April when United went away to Dublin for a training camp. He talked about how desperate he was to be part of Thomas Tuchel's plans this summer, because he thought it would be his last opportunity at a World Cup. And unfortunately for him, that's not going to be the case this summer.
Yeah, I mean, you've had the pleasure of talking to him personally, so too have I. I know what he's like, and he's been such a well-loved figure for fans in tournaments over the years. How difficult will this be for him personally, do you think, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely, Vicky. I mean, he said it in his statement, which I think is so unique to hear from players like that, so honest. And he talked about how gutted he is. And that's because his England career, having really started in 2018 and again at 2021, but then having, as I mentioned, missed out on the last tournament with a calf injury. He missed the end of United season that year as well. I think it now feels disappointment after disappointment, but also really feeling like he's had so many good moments in a Manchester United shirt that ultimately hasn't resulted in that call-up to Thomas Tuchel's team this summer. And I think he will feel aggrieved, because I don't think, you know, being part of a Manchester United team who were 6th, 7th in January, who have risen all the way to 3rd, while also beating some of the top teams across the league. Now, I know it's not just judged on that, but he's been playing for one of the best informed teams over the last 6 months, beating as well the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City as well. So you can understand why he'll feel very frustrated. And I can tell you about another player, Vicky, just while we're on the subject. As I understand it, Luke Shaw is also not part of Thomas Tuchel's plans this summer. He won't be part of the World Cup squad. Maybe he was seen to have an outside chance. It won't be maybe too much of a surprise in that area, but having featured in every Premier League game for Manchester United this season, maybe putting some injury concerns behind. Heard you talking about left-backs just before you came to me, so just wanted to let you know as well, Luke Shaw will not be part of Thomas Tuchel's squad this summer as well.
OK, thank you for that bit of breaking news as well. I mean, I'm guessing Harry Maguire will look for a bit of an arm around from Michael Carrick, no doubt. Let's talk about him then, because what's the latest on his permanent United contract there?
Yeah, I have to say, slightly uneventful this afternoon. Vicky, hearing from Michael Carrick, he said, look, there will be clarity, as he has said in recent weeks.